What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I have a really delicious dessert recipe to share with you guys. Now Valentine's Day is right around the corner, so you know I had to hook you guys up with a really good dessert recipe. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing a very simple Mithai recipe and I'm going to be infusing it with some coconut as well as some maraschino cherries. And those cherries are going to give it a really beautiful pink color on the inside and a nice flavor from those cherries. So if you're a cherry lover like me, it's going to pair well with that coconut and it's going to be really good. Anybody, if you want to make something delicious for someone that you love, let's get into the kitchen and put this Mithai together. So we're going to start off in a bowl with some all-purpose flour, and onto that all-purpose flour we're going to be going in with some baking powder. This right here is going to give our Mithai a nice little fluffy texture in the middle. Now we're also going to go in with some spices. I'm using some ground elaichi or cardamom, some ground anise seeds, which is going to give a nice licoricey flavor. And I'm also going to go in with some cinnamon powder, and you can go ahead and customize any of the spices as per your own taste and preferences. And the last spice that I'm going in with is a little bit of nutmeg. It is time to go in with some milk powder as well as some custard powder. Now I love adding these two ingredients because it makes the Mithai very rich and it makes it very soft. And once you mix those dried ingredients together, it is time to go in with some butter. So I'm using unsalted butter that I've chopped up into small pieces, and I'm just going to go in there with both of my hands and I'm going to break up all of those butter bits and rub them into the flour and the dried ingredients. Basically what you're looking for is a very sandy texture, and once you've gone in with the butter and mixed it in really well, it is time to go in with your freshly grated coconut. Now in order to give this Mithai a little bit of a Valentine's Day flair and a really nice flavor from the combination of these maraschino cherries and the coconut, I'm going to go in with some finely chopped maraschino cherries. So as you guys can see, it was a little liquidy. It's because I left some of that liquid in there on purpose. You can put as much or as little as you want. And once you go in with all of your finely chopped cherries, you're also going to go in with a little bit of vanilla extract. Now as soon as you add those wet ingredients in, you're also going to start to stream in some evaporated milk. And you're going to continue to mix this until you get a nice soft dough. You do not want something that's super sticky like a roti dough, but you also don't want something that is too hard, because if it's too hard, it will fall apart in the hot oil. This is what my Mithai dough looks like after mixing in some milk. Now for this amount of Mithai, I used about a 1/2 to 3/4 can of evaporated milk. You might use more or less, just depending on how dry your flour was and how moist your other ingredients were. Now at this point, it is time to roll out your Mithai. So I don't have to let this rest at all. If you wanted to let it rest because you had time, of course you can, but there's absolutely no need for it. So I'm just going to lightly flour my surface and my piece of dough, and I'm just going to roll it out to about a 1/2 inch thickness. Maybe a little less than a 1/2 inch. It just depends on how thick you like your Mithai. I like them to be pretty thick, but not overly thick to where they will have a hard time cooking on the inside. So once you get it to your preferred thickness, all you're going to do is cut your Mithai into your desired shapes. I usually go with the traditional Mithai shapes, which is some triangles as well as some diamond shapes. And again, you can cut them as big or as small as you want. Just totally depends on your preferences. And after you finish cutting all of your Mithai, you're going to heat up a pan of oil, and you want to cover the pan about halfway, so this way it has enough room for that Mithai to fry. And on a medium to medium high heat is where you're going to fry your Mithai on. All you're going to go ahead and do is drop a small batch in, and you're just going to fry them for about 2 to 3 minutes, or until you see they have a beautiful golden brown color all over. Now this right here is exactly what I'm looking for. This took about 3 minutes to achieve this beautiful golden brown color. So I'm going to keep on taking them out of the oil, and I'm going to continue to fry the rest of my Mithai in small batches until I've fried out all of my dough, and then we'll move on to making the sugar syrup or the pag. Once you finish frying all of your Mithai, you're going to set them aside and you're going to start working on the pag or your sugar syrup. So in a little pot here, I'm going in with some water, and I'm also going to go in with some granulated sugar. So I'm just going to stir this up, and I'm going to cook it on a medium-high heat. And once it comes up to a boil, it's only going to take about 7 to 8 minutes for this sugar syrup or pag to come together. And I'll show you guys what to look for when it gets to that stage. Once my sugar syrup came up to the boil, I've been cooking it on a medium-high heat for about 7 minutes at this point. And as you guys can see, all around the sides of the pan, there's little fine or tiny bubbles forming throughout, and there's big bubbles all the way in the middle of the pot. That's sort of your indication that the Mithai pag or the sugar syrup is done. You're also going to see some crystallization on the sides of the pan. So the way that I really like to test it, just to make sure that this sugar syrup is done, is by taking a little bowl and putting like 2 or 3 pieces of the Mithai that we fried in it, and then tossing a little bit of that sugar syrup on top of it. So I'm going to toss this up, and as soon as you see that there's a little bit of a white coating forming on the spoon, or you see a little bit of cloudiness happening, that's your indication that the sugar syrup is done. Now, being that it is Valentine's Day and I want to play on this Valentine's Day theme a little bit more, I'm going to go ahead and toss on some Valentine's Day sprinkles on top of my fried mithai. When your sugar syrup is done, you're going to pour it all over the bowl of mithai and you're going to toss it up very well with a spoon. Now, I like using a metal spoon and a good heavy metal bowl. So you're just going to keep on tossing this for a little while until everything comes together and until that sugar syrup forms and crystallizes all over the mithai. And once you see that that beautiful crystallized coating has formed all over your mithai, you're going to want to go ahead and shake up the bowl a little bit and toss them around. What this is going to do is it's going to break up any pieces that have stuck together, and it's also going to give you a more even coating because it's going to break off some of those really large crystals that you've created as you tossed it up. But at this point, your mithai is all done and it is ready to serve. So now for the moment of truth. I went ahead and I showed you how to put together that mithai. You guys saw how beautiful it looked on the inside, but now I'm going to give you the real close-up and tell you guys how it tastes. So this is my mithai right here. Now I think in my family, I make the best mithai. I can say that. My aunts can tell you that. Anybody in my family can tell you that. Sometimes I surprise myself and it gets even better. Because this one right here is so good. I don't know if you guys can see, but when I had put it in my mouth and I bit into it, it almost like just fell apart and ripped right into my mouth. It was really, really flaky and really good. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed to my channel yet, make sure you subscribe with that red subscribe button. And you got to click that bell notification icon so this way you're notified every time I post my newest videos. And leave your comments down below so I know what to make next. I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye everyone.